let's be fair and balanced here. Everything that I heard about Shay Patterson getting that waiver from Ole Miss and playing at Michigan, game changer is the words that I've heard, and it's a crucial season, obviously, for Jim Harbaugh and Michigan football coming off of last year's 5-loss disappointment. Is that an accurate description of Shay Patterson being allowed to play football this fall for the Wolverines?
I think it is, just because they were so underwhelming at that position last year. Now, some of it had to do with, new receivers, and, you lost not just just two really good receivers who were big targets, but a really good tight end. And so they had to change that. But I also think when you take this kid has a terrific arm. The ball jumps out of his hand. His release is probably as good as there will be in college football. There's definitely some stuff he needs to work on. The arm is great. He needs work on his decision making. Some of the intangible things are still a work in progress with him. So, I don't want folks to jump in and go, "Oh, it's a former 5-star guy, and he should be the first pick in the draft," because there are certainly some things that he's got that are of that ilk. But there's some other things that are definitely, decision making was a big piece of it. I think accuracy is good. I think still there's a lot of refinement there, but I think he is much more talented than what they've had there for quite some time. And I would say the most talented quarterback Jim Harbaugh's had in college football, at least since his days at Stanford with Andrew Luck.
So when it all comes down to it, now that we're post-draft, Bruce, and so many quarterbacks went off the board in the NFL draft, which team do you think in college football is going to have the smoothest transition to a new quarterback this fall?
Of those guys who lost quarterbacks, lost high, because Oklahoma State's going from a guy in Mason Rudolph who played a ton, lost some really good receivers, to probably a guy who's a grad transfer from Hawaii. Oklahoma will go from one dynamic, undersized, shorter quarterback in Baker Mayfield to Kyler Murray, who's even shorter and faster. I think USC has the most interesting transition, because they will go from Sam Darnold, who was terrific in his year and a half, almost 2 years as a starter, to a guy who I think will win the job, who's a true freshman quarterback, who comes from the same high school as Matt Leinart, Matt Barkley, modern day. It's a powerhouse in Orange County. This kid's really smart, really talented. JT Daniels, I think he's not the guy, because the other quarterbacks they had really, really struggled, when you watch them this spring. And I think there's a lot of pressure on a kid who is not even enrolled yet. And he's graduating, I think, later this month. But, USC should be the favorite in the South, in the Pac-12 South. But I just think that the bar for this kid is really, really high. He graduated a year early from high school. Now, he's still 18 years old, so it's not like he's really younger than most kids. But he was expected to be a senior in high school, and now he's jumped into Pac-12 football, and like I said, the expectations are going to be really high on him.
And is it possible that Chip Kelly's first quarterback at UCLA, with Rosen now in Arizona, is Wilton Speight, formerly of Michigan? Is that?
Yeah, it is entirely possible. He's a grad transfer. Obviously, he had some success in 2016. Like I said, when those receivers were there, he was much better. Last year, he struggled. We had the Purdue game where he got hurt, and that was pretty much it for him. I think there's some positives with him because he's played a lot. If it's not him, I think it'll be another kid who's not there yet, a freshman, Dorian Thompson-Robinson from Las Vegas, who is, really athletic kid, good runner, dual threat guy, kind of what you think of when you expect a Chip Kelly quarterback, which quite honestly, Wilton Speight does not fit that profile. But I would put out this caveat. I've seen UCLA in spring a few times. They do not have a lot to work with right now. I would expect to see a ton of true freshmen playing a lot for Chip Kelly. And don't be surprised if this team struggles to make a bowl game, because the cupboard's pretty bare. And I wouldn't be shocked if they were only favored in 2 games this season.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.